So we've got both log base 9, so the log base is the same, and we've got addition. So we know that we can rewrite that using the product property. So I'm going to take log base 9, and then I'm just going to have the product of those. So x minus 7 times x minus 7. Now what you have to do here, this is log form, bless you, so I'm going to rewrite it in an exponential form. At some point I'm going to have to multiply that. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite an exponential form and multiply that all at the same time. My b would be 9. My e would be 1. Bless you. Thank you. Now I'm going to multiply that. That gets me x squared. Outer is negative 7x and inner is negative 7x. So that's negative 14x. And then plus 49. Bless you. Thank you. Alright, now 6th period yesterday got to grumbling about this because that created a quadratic. So you had to remember how to solve a quadratic. You could do factoring on this one or quadratic formula. But the first thing you got to do is set it equal to 0. So we got to subtract that 9 from both sides. So I'm subtracting 9 here and here. So that got me x squared minus 14x plus 40 is equal to 0. Now if you want to do the quadratic formula, your a would be 1, your b would be negative 14, your c would be 40. You could do that. This one factored pretty easy. A times c, the factors of 40 that add to negative 14 were negative 4 and negative 10. So then I just set both of those equal to 0 and solved them. So add 4, I got 4. And add 10, I got 10. Now when I looked for the choice on that, both of them were a choice. So that was telling me that one of them wasn't going to work. So what would you choose for the choice on that one? Looks like B is correct. Nice job. Okay. They all right there? Number 3, I just used my calculator, so I don't have a whole lot of work to show you on that, but I'll help you get through the calculator if you need to. Anytime number E is involved, I use the calculator because that's an irrational number. It keeps going forever. It's like pi. Still got a couple writing on this one. Let me slow down. Just don't forget to take your hat off, though. Alright, on 3, the number of books in a small library increases according to, and they give me B is equal to, number of books is equal to 2,300 times the number E to the 0.03 T power. So that's the equation that they give you. T is measured in years. How many books will a library have after 9 years? So T is your years. You're just plugging a 9 into that spot. So you've got to type 2,300 E to the 0.03 times 9. Okay, I would type that in left to right, just like it says 2,300. To get E with an exponent, it's the second LN button. So you'll push second LN, it'll bring an E up there, and then it'll jump up to the exponent for you to type in your power on that. Okay, looking at my choices there, I'm going to the nearest whole number. So somebody got my number of books there for me?
3,013.
Okay, rounds it to 3,013 is correct. Okay, there's several problems like that where you just had to plug something in and use your calculator. So if you haven't tried that yet, you should have, number 1. But if you haven't, better do it now. Don't wait till it's too late. All right, 4. Is that 1 to 1? Was anything repeating in the x's? No. Was anything repeating in the y's? Nope. So yes, it's 1 to 1. Okay, 5, they gave me the function. Okay, so it says f of x on number 5. F of x is equal to 4x squared minus 2. What I know about this, I'm not going to get very specific on it, but I know that this is a parabola that opens up. So it's a parabola that looks like that. How do I know that? Number 1, I know that because it's squared, so it means it's a parabola. I know it opens up or down because it's y equals x. If it had been x equals y squared, it would be sideways, right? But I know it opens up and down, and I know it's up because my 4 is positive. If you didn't know, couldn't remember all that, no biggie. Plug it in your calculator and you'll get a parabola that opens up. Okay? To test one-on-one, normally, a long time ago, early in the year, when we tested for a function, we did a vertical line test. But now when we do one-to-one test, it's a horizontal. So if you throw a horizontal line across there, it's going to touch it more than once. So that means it failed. So that would not be one-to-one. Okay, 6 and 7 are just like the bell ringer. On the bell ringer, I did them the long way, how you would have to do it without a calculator, but you do have a calculator, so you can save yourself some time on 6 and 7. What you get on 6? Does anybody need to, Ace correct, does anybody need to see how to do that, either by hand or on the calculator? Everybody good on that? I don't mind showing you by hand or on the calculator, either one. Math, go down to log base to use your calculator. 7, what'd you get on 7? C. Anybody need help on that one? Alright, on 8. We've got to do a little bit of writing on 8 because we've got to use some of those properties. I got log base 3, x to the 9th, y to the 6th, divided by 5. Alright, so I've got all 3 properties involved in this because I see powers, I see multiplication, and I see division. That's all 3 of the properties on this, okay? So I'm just going to go on the top. I'll go left to right there. It's going to be log base 3 of x to the 9th. Multiplication goes with addition, so plus log base 3 of y to the 6th. I'm done with the top. Now division is next, and that goes with subtraction. So minus log base 3 of 5. Now you could have done that done what I'm fixing to do now. You could have already done it. Now I've got to deal with my powers. Anything that's a power's got to come down in front of its log. So this first one's going to be 9 log base 3 of x plus 6. Good. Log base 3 of y. 5 doesn't have power, so I don't have to put a 1 there. So that'd be it. Now I had to do, y'all are smarter than me, but I had to do a double take when I looked at choices, because some of those choices, they change a plus or a minus sign just enough to make me second guess myself. So be careful when you're choosing on stuff like that. It ended up being B, didn't it? Good, good. You just glance at those choices, they all look close to the same. Alright, number 9, page 2. Another calculator one on this one. The time t in years for an amount increasing at a rate r in decimal form to double is given by that function. That's called doubling time. How long will it take for prices in the economy to double at a 4% annual inflation round to the nearest year? So 4% is 0.04. So I'm going to have the natural log of 2 using the equation they gave me, divided by the natural log of 1 plus 0.04. 4% is the same as 0.04. 1 plus 0.04 is 1.04. A natural log button on your calculator is over on the far left, right next to the 4. Round to the, what does it say, nearest whole year. What'd y'all get? 18 years. Okay, if you didn't do that one yesterday, you need to practice it now. Make sure you can get that. Make sure you can get it all typed in right. If you need help with the calculator, let me know. Everybody all right on it? Okay. Had to turn it to 0.04 because it was 4%.
And I don't know why.
I got
Oh, yeah. I guess I
Oh, you did it in steps.
Because I did that and calculated it, and I didn't know if that was all I had to do. And then I just checked it.
Alright, on 10, wants to know what's the domain of that graph. Remember, domain is what happens on the x's. What are your x's doing? So what I did, and you can do this if you want to, but I went and to my calculator and graphed it. It's going to be something that looks similar to that. Okay, so x's, this thing is going to keep going that way forever. But when it gets to that y-axis, it stops. It doesn't touch it, right? So that means it's going to go on the x's from 0. No, kid. Yep, because it can't touch 0. That's the asymptote there. Did they try? Yeah, they did try to trick you with a bracket on that. Notice B put the bracket. That means it could touch 0. And somebody asked in here yesterday, I think it might have been Blake, if I go and look at my table on that, where x is 0, it says error. That means it's not going to touch it. So 0 can't have the bracket on it. If you tried to do log base 10 of 0, if you plugged a 0 in for the x, if I just hit log of 0 on my calculator, it says an error. So, alright, number 11. It's another one-to-one function one. It's going to be what? No, and the reason is the same as earlier, that x squared minus 7 is a normal parabola like that, so that would fail your horizontal line test. So number 11 would be no. Alright, on 12. I did that one on my calculator. I got it again right here, working on it again. Log base 2 of x and hit graph. It's going to be just something going along those lines. Okay, that does look similar to what A. Doesn't look anything like B. You got to turn the page. Doesn't look anything like C or D. So A would be your best one on that one. Anybody need help graphing one of those on your calculator? Okay, page 3. Four to the x equals 16. Well, I mean, if we're going to struggle with one and if this is it, I don't know what to tell you. And just read this like it says. 4 to what power equals 16? Okay, that one's pretty easy. We did a couple of harder ones like these on the bell ringers this week, but that one is just pretty much a no-brainer. Okay, number 14, you could do that in your calculator if you wanted to. Log base 1/8 of 1 is what? I said 1/8 to the what equals 1. And we've talked about this one before. If you got a power, what power makes everything equal 1? 0. So your x would have to be 0. Anytime it's equal to 1, your x always has to be 0. But you could hit log base and go down and put that one in your calculator. Is that what everybody did? Yes, no, you just knew it?
I think I just knew that one.
Good, good, good. I like those ones on there. Alright, 15, 6th period had a lot of questions on, but it's one of the easier ones as far as just normal algebra is concerned. It's got log base 9 of 6x plus 8 is equal to log base 9 of 6x plus 3. And we did one like this in class where when it's log base 9 across an equal sign, that's like saying 2 equals 2, 7 equals 7. Yes, that's just a true statement. So all I've got to be concerned with is what I call the meat of that problem. So I'm going to set 6x plus u plus 8 equals to 6x plus 3. Now, when you get to that part of it, you ought to notice something's up. Okay, if you don't, go ahead and work it. What would you want to get rid of first? Okay, here's where it really becomes obvious. Some people in 6th period move the 8s or the 3s first, and that took them a little bit longer. But when you choose that 6x first, it's plain as day, because that's nothing, You're left with 8 equals 3. Right, no universe that I know of does 8 equal 3, so that's not equal, not true, no solution. Alright, 16, you could do the log base function on the calculator. That's a lot of buttons to push for that one on me, and I got a little confused, so I just did it by hand. It's 4 to the 6th in there. To do this, you could do it in your calculator. Don't get worried thinking you can't, but to do it by hand here, this is an understood root of 2. So if you do power over root, that's 6th power over the square root. 6 over 2 is 3, right? So this is the same as log base 4 of 4 cubed is equal to x. Okay, so if I rewrote this, I could figure out what 4 cubed is real easy. 4 times 4 is 16 is 464. But it's going to be easier to work this problem if I leave it there, because that's going to mean b to the e equals n. See why I wanted to leave it 4 cubed? Now 4 is the same, so x has to equal 3. Yeah, you could have did that in your calculator. Alright, 17. Number of acres in a landfill. That's a lovely topic. It's given by the function b equals 8600 number e to the negative 0.04 t power, where t is years. How many acres will the landfill have after 2 years? So you're plugging a 2 into the t spot. So just like that earlier problem, you got to do 8600 times the number e to the negative 0.04 times 2 power. Looks like we're rounding to the nearest whole acre. Valentina is correct. Make sure you can get it. Don't wait till tomorrow and not know how to type the E or anything. Let me know if you need help on it. Last page. Alright, 19, determine whether or not it's 1 to 1, and they gave you the graph. Alright, graph like this, when we have a graph, we are doing the horizontal line test, and we get a different color to do. So I would be looking, there it only hits 1, there it only hits 1. What gets hard for us is when it starts leveling out down here. I could draw my horizontal line and say, well, look, it hits more than once there. But I've got to have a little bit of knowledge about what this graph is doing. I can't just go off of my vision, because that x-axis is the asymptote. It's getting closer and closer and closer to it, which means that that black graph that is drawn on your paper that I originally drew is going down, 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 down. So my horizontal line test, even though on that paper and on my drawing looks like it's going to fail it, that black graph does keep going lower. So it's not actually leveling out and being horizontal. So even though it looks like it might pass the horizontal test, it really don't. Okay, so would that be a 1-to-1 function? Yes. Even though it's hard for our vision to get that. Y'all probably didn't even think, y'all probably got it no problem, didn't you? Yeah. Alright, 19 and 20. might have been the only two ones where you actually had to think a little bit on this whole thing, especially 20. 19, not as bad. 19, I got log base 6 of 60 minus log base 6 of 10 is equal to 1, and it's true or false. Okay, so I got both log base 6's. Subtraction is part of the quotient property, so this is going to be log base 6 of 60 divided by 10 is equal to 1. 60 divided by 10 is 6, so it's going to be log base 6 of 6 is equal to 1. That's log form. If I rewrote, and now, by the way, you could have, let me go back. I was fixing to say now you could use your calculator, but you technically could have typed that into your calculator and saw if you got 1 or not. So, anyway, but here you could type this into your calculator. Also, I'm going to put it in exponential form. That would be my base is 6, my exponent is 1, and my number is 6. Does 6 to the first equal 6? Yes. T root. And I don't like the way, I always think true ought to be first, but they flipped it on that to try to trick you. They put false true. Nobody ever says false true, do they? I don't. Tries to trick you. Alright, last one's not difficult, but it was the one I probably showed the most work on. Anybody think they got it before we go? I know the girls back here did because I heard them working on it. Anybody else think they got it? Alright, it says, how long will it take? So what makes this different is we're solving for the exponent in this one. How long will it take a sample of radioactive substance to decay to half its original amount if it decays according to the function A of t is equal to 400 times e to the negative 0.229 t power. So we're trying to solve for t. So we got to know what we're going to put in A. Well, the original amount is given here. It's 400. So I'm looking for half of that. Half 400 is 200. So I'm going to write 200 is equal to 400 times e to the negative 0.229 t power. Okay, now we did something like this in class. We had to get rid of this extra junk. It's being multiplied by 400. So we're going to divide both sides by 400. 200 divided by 400. That looks like I put a decimal there. That was not good. 200 divided by 400 is a half, so I got a half is equal to e to the negative 0.229 t power. Okay, this is exponential form. I'm going to rewrite this in log form. So my base is e, so I've got log base e. But what's log, and I could leave it that way, but what's log base e the same as? ln. So I'm going to make my button pushing easier and write ln of 1/2 is equal to negative 0.229 t. So now what you have to do with your calculator, you have to push ln of 1/2, figure out what that is. Then your t is being multiplied by negative 0.229, so whatever you get from ln of 1/2, you're going to divide it by negative 0.229. Okay, that top part, Valentina said is negative 0.69 about, so then divide that by negative 0.229. And we should get approximately, we're going to the nearest hundredth the choices look like, so what have we got? 3.03 years. Alright, any questions you got on that? Sixth period thought it seemed a lot easier than the last one. A couple of y'all said the same thing. Y'all feel alright with it? I had one of the guys in sixth period that's usually one of the quicker ones. He picks up and does pretty well. He said I hadn't been feeling good about this until the study guide.
Yeah.
So,
Because the notes kind of made me stressed out.
yeah. Alright, so we'll knock that out tomorrow. Good deal.